hoping to kind of shed some light on the thoughts that I've been thinking about as of late. I hope you guys are taking care of yourself. I hope you guys are understanding what you feel in the moment. See, a lot of times in life, we don't really live in the moment. Mentally, a lot of us are living for the future. A lot of us are living for the future. So when we're in a moment that we should be reflecting and being happy, a lot of us are not happy in that moment because we're mentally living for the future. So something could be happening currently in your life that you're very excited for it to happen, you're very happy. And then what stops you from really being happy is you're thinking about another moment in the future that you really want to happen. So you're kind of not being happy for that moment because what's stopping you mentally is what you're wanting in the future. So I could want $1 million right now, but because I just got maybe $500, I'm not happy about that $500 because I'm so focused mentally on that $1 million. So the important lesson that I'm starting to understand is just living in the moment. Living in the moment and understanding we got to be happy for where we are currently. Not saying you shouldn't have goals and not saying you shouldn't have things that you should push for with your passion. But I want you guys to understand time moves so fast when we focus on so many things of the future. We never get to enjoy the moment because our minds are so clouded with what we want in the future. In the future, we don't know if we're going to see that future. We don't know if we're ever going to get to that future. Yes, we're working on the future, but we don't know if we'll ever see it. So that's the lesson that I'm coming on here with. So right now, currently, what's up, guys? Thank you for joining. So the lesson that's on my mind right now for new parents and parents who've been parents for a while is situational awareness. That is a lesson that I feel a lot of parents can benefit their kids. Now, situational awareness, what's up, guys? Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Situational awareness is important because a lot of kids are not naturally aware of what's going on in their environment. Like a lot of our kids, they go around in society with like this carefree mentality because a lot of them haven't been taught that situational awareness is very important. How you doing, Christine? Thanks for joining. So, like I'm saying, situational awareness is very important. And I feel we as parents should be teaching our children this at a very young age. Right now, currently, I have two girls. I'm trying to teach them about just understanding when you're out in public and you're walking the streets, just be aware of your surroundings. Don't do certain things that can possibly put you in danger. For example, you're about to cross the street. You're busy playing around, but you're not understanding that cars can come out of nowhere. And unfortunately, something, bad can happen, right? So we got to start teaching our kids this situational awareness to understand the dangers of the world in which they live. It's not all rainbows and candy. So we can't show our kids that oh yeah, it's good. You can just do whatever you want. Have fun. Yeah, we want our kids to have fun, but we also want our kids to be safe. Thank you, Christine. I appreciate that. Welcome, by the way. We got to show our kids that it's important to understand where you are location wise, and just understanding that you got to watch where you are, watch where you're going, watch who's around you. Strangers are all around, and we got to teach our children that strangers, not all of them are good. Not all of them are good. There are going to be some people that will not be nice to you. That's the way of the world that we live in right now. We cannot we cannot continue to make up this fantasized world for our children, like everything is all safe, like everything is a Disney movie. It's not. Everything is not a Disney movie. Our children need to understand when they are at, for example, I'm gonna make some examples. Now, I don't know how you guys feel about welcome to the channel, guys. Thank you for joining the live. So I don't know how you guys feel about sleepovers. I am very wary of sleepovers. I have two girls, two young girls, and of course they got a lot of friends, right? I'm sure your children have a lot of friends and they ask you guys, oh, mommy and daddy, can we have a sleepover at someone's home? What do you guys think about that? Do you guys agree? Do you guys let your kids sleep over their friend's house? Let me see. Let me go through these comments. Important topic. Yep. It's very important to have this conversation. So, like I'm saying, sleepovers, in my opinion, I feel I don't like sleepovers. I'm gonna be honest. I don't like sleepovers. I feel like everybody parents differently, and you don't know how that parent, that particular parent, no matter if you're friends with them or not, welcome. Thank you for joining. You don't know if that parent that's has your child sleeping over, you don't know what they're doing. Like, yeah, you could say, yeah, they're my friend, but do you know how they truly parent? Because they could parent their kids differently than they're going to parent your children. And that's the scary part about sleepovers. I don't know if you guys heard about this horrific story I heard a long time ago. I forgot where it happened, but it was a sleepover. Young kids went over to have a sleepover at one of their friends' house, and what ended up happening was the young girl slept over, and then they ended up pouring boiling hot water in the girl's ear while she was sleeping. It burned off like half of her the side of her face. It was horrific. And my reaction to that was like, are you freaking kidding me? That it was a sick story. It was a sick story. Let me see. Maybe they save your children from their parents. Yeah, listen, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world, guys. There's a whole lot of devastation. There's a lot of people that's traumatized walking around. And it's just not safe, in my opinion. I don't know how you guys feel about sleepovers. I just don't feel like they're safe. And you guys may say, it depends on who you're leaving your child with. There's some people that you feel more comfortable leaving your children with versus people you don't feel comfortable with, that you would say, oh no, they're not watching my children. And we all got family members like that, where we say, oh, maybe this family member can watch our children, but then again, this other family member, I'm not trusting my child. I'm not even turning my head with my child in this person's care. We got people like that in life. But one thing I could say about situational awareness again is show your children why it's important to pay attention in the street. Show them why it's important. A lot of children naturally are just very happy. They're oblivious to danger at a young age. They don't know the dangers of the world. And us as parents, it's our responsibility to show our kids, hey, listen, the street, do we play in the street? What's the danger? Ask your children, what are the dangers of not paying attention and being near a street? You got to quiz your children. You got to find out how they think about certain things. I quiz my daughter all the time when we're out. There's certain things I definitely want to quiz her on more, because we live in a very dangerous world. This is not a Disney fantasy world. This is reality. This is reality. And reality is very dismal, and it's not a fun place. Hey, what's up, Kiss from Jay? Welcome. So like I'm saying, there are just certain realities of life involving our children that we have to pay attention to. We cannot allow our children to go through life thinking they're living in a Disney part of life. You know all the Disney movies your children watch? We don't want them to go through life thinking life is about Disney. Like they're living the life of Rapunzel, Princess and the Frog, Miss Tiana. We don't want them to live like that. Life is dangerous. And yeah, we don't want to cause paranoia to our children. That would be like the last thing that I would want to do, is cause paranoia to my daughters. But I also don't want them to be ignorant of what goes on in society, ignorant of what's happening around them on the news, ignorant of children being kidnapped, being raped, being sex trafficked. There's a lot going on. And a lot of parents, there are parents that will almost kind of like shade their children from danger in a way that's detrimental to them. And by that, I mean, they may hide certain facts of the world, but at the same time, they're growing up and they're going to understand sooner or later what's going on around them. But if we're not doing our jobs as parents and kind of like not keeping them ignorant, but teaching them about the world, we don't want to cause them paranoia, but we also don't want to keep them ignorant. We want to show them this is the world in which we live. You cannot go through this world and feel like you're living in a Disneyland, because the earth that we live on is not Disneyland. This is the United States of America. And unfortunately, the United States of America is not an equal place for everyone. And I don't care what anyone says, that is facts. Facts. It's not an equal place for everyone. There's people who come here from another country, they're immigrants, they come here and they work hard, but then they understand that a lot of things that happen is not equal for everyone. And they start to see that. So honestly, I'll say something that's really controversial. This is the divided states of America. And anyone that has an issue with that, it is what it is. That's from my experience. It definitely has not been united. And I cannot state a time where everyone felt equal in this country. Never. Anyway, I kind of went off topic. I'm going to get back to the topic. Situational awareness. So, guys, like I said, our kids, we don't want them to go into unnecessary danger, right? We don't want them growing up feeling like life is all a fairy tale. I'm just moving around here. I'm doing my thing. I'm going to climb a tower. I'm going to let the prince climb my hair because I'm going to release it down so he can climb my hair, Rapunzel. I'm going to wait till my prince kisses me and I'm going to turn back to a human, Princess and the Frog. I'm testing you guys right now. I'm trying to see if you guys know your Disney movies. But yeah, it's really serious though. Like, I'm right now in this stage, my daughters are very young. Like, I have an 8-year-old and I have a 4-year-old. they're at a very tender age where their minds are like sponges. They're going to soak up all this knowledge and information. And unfortunately, some of the information they're soaking up, I'm not too happy about. But guess what? When you're a parent, there are going to be things that you cannot control. There's going to be things you can't control, but you have to do your best to maneuver around those things you can't control and just go into things you can control. Don't be afraid. Parents, do not be afraid. Understand that the world will be against you and your children. And that's what I try to make my children understand. My older one, actually. My 4-year-old, way too young, but my 8-year-old, she's getting to a point where she's able to understand things about the world a little more. Like the other day, we were watching this show on Hulu. And this is an old show. I think they actually took it off Hulu. It was a good show, and I'm mad they took it off. But it was a show about strangers. They basically set up a camera for parents and their children. And the parents would watch from a separate location. And they would see their children at the playground. And they would see people come near their children in the playground. And it was all set up. Everything was set up. Strangers would come and they would talk to the kids at the playground. So the whole role of the show, the whole reasoning of the show was kind of like a learning lesson to show parents, different types of parents, strict parents, helicopter parents, just to kind of show them what they can learn from their ways of parenting. So I used to watch this show with my daughter, and as we watched the show, I would question her. And I would say, what would you do in a situation like this? Thank you for joining. I would ask my daughter, I would say, what would you do in a situation if a stranger ever came to you at a playground and say, Daddy wasn't there? Daddy will always be there. Let's be honest. But if there was some time where Daddy was not there for some reason, I want to know that you know what to do in moments like that. Because in the show, there were moments where some of these children, they would get enticed by like animals, because some of the strangers had like dogs, puppies, things that entice kids, entice their interest. So a lot of times there was moments where these strangers would come around with dogs, and they would come around to the kids and be like, "Oh, this is my dog Tommy. You want to come say hi?" They would entice these children like this. And there was a situation where they would be asking the children, "Do you want to come into the van?" Like little instances like this where you're like, "Oh no," and the parents are watching like horrified. They're watching from their camera. Everything's set up. It's fake. But at the same time, their children don't notice it's fake. They think this is real. So the parents are just horrified because some of their children are just making these bad decisions. And a lot of the parents thought their children knew better. That's the thing about the show that I loved. It's scripted, but the parents, the kids don't know. So they're thinking these strangers are actually good people. But it's a lesson for the kids later on, because you should not be just talking to any stranger. You should not be following a stranger around the corner because he says he has puppies. Real talk. If a stranger comes up to you and says, "I got 19 flavors of ice cream right around the corner," what will your kid say? What will your child say if a stranger came up to them and said, "I got 19 flavors of ice cream around the corner"? Do you think your child is going to say, "Yeah, let's go"? And the scary thing about it is a lot of children will say yes, because a lot of children may have not been taught about the dangers of strangers. or just being situational aware of their surroundings, of who may be watching them at any particular time, or just knowing that they need to understand spatial awareness and understanding how close they're standing to certain people. And all of these are things our children need to know. Like there's times when I'm in the supermarket with my daughter, my older daughter, and we're standing in line and a stranger is right, like say we're standing behind a stranger and a stranger is standing in line in front of me. There'll be times when she's standing like this close to the stranger, like the way I'm getting close in the camera, this close. And I'm like, you don't understand how dangerous, you don't understand spatial awareness and just understanding that you got to give people space. Don't make anyone else feel uncomfortable, or you should know that you should just have that space. And this is a lesson I'm trying to teach her. Right now, she doesn't understand it. I'm being real. This is a lesson that I'm trying to teach her now before it gets too late. Because if you're not showing your children some of these things that I'm talking about, it's gonna be a problem later on. It's gonna be a problem. Start showing them the things that they should be learning now. Don't get me wrong. I'm not being all like your children shouldn't have fun. You shouldn't do all. I'm not saying any of that. Your children are young. They're still learning. They're going to learn some of these things. But what I am saying is we as parents have to be serious about certain things. Just because they're young does not mean we are not in the training period. Unfortunately, some parents just think, oh, they're young. Yeah, let them do whatever they want. Oh, they're going to climb that barbed wire fence? Yeah, go ahead. They'll be all right. Their limbs will grow back. There are loose parents out here, guys. If if you really look around how some parents are just so loose with their children, it's crazy. It is absolutely maddening. And this is why I felt the way I felt with sleepovers. Because I have some good friends, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm not making my daughter sleep over at your house. I don't care how good of a friend you are. Because there's moments where I'm just like, there's moments that my daughter did sleep over someone's home, one of my friends' home, and I felt so uncomfortable the entire time. It was just one of those moments where it was late and it just got to a point where we just said, okay, let her just stay over there. I didn't feel comfortable at all. At all. Because I know how I parent. If a child comes over my home, right? Like my goddaughter, she comes over. I treat her like a queen, a princess. Princess. I treat her just like I would treat my daughters. I don't play about her either. Like if she comes to spend the night, she's my child. Any child, as a matter of fact, if they come over to my home to spend the night, you are my child. Unfortunately, not a lot of parents think this way. Not a lot of parents are going to say, your child is their child because they're sleeping over my house. And I think we need to understand that. We need to understand that, unfortunately, some parents are not going to feel the same way I just expressed to you guys. They just think of it as, oh, my child has someone to play with. I'm free for the night. Yes. You should not send your children over to no one's house with that kind of mentality. If my child is only there to help free up your time, but you're not thinking of it as, I got to actually watch someone else's child and I got to make sure I take care of them and watch them. You shouldn't be spending a night. You should not be spending a night. Straight up. Period. And in 2025, it's even more serious. There's a lot of people walking around here with so many issues, carefree. And you want to raise your child a certain way, but you're giving your child away to them for one night to be watched by a stranger that does not have your same values, does not have your same your same morals. Because honestly, whoever's watching your child, you got to make sure that they have a moral system that you believe in. And even if they do, it's like at the same time, they're not going to parent the same way you parent. You guys ever met like the sit down parents? You guys know who the sit down parents are? So the sit down parents, if you go to a trampoline park, the sit down parents are there. If you go to an amusement park, the sit down parents are there. If you go to any kind of event where kids are, the sit down parents are. Welcome. I was just talking about sit down parents. Sit down parents are the parents that don't stand up and participate with their children in some events. They're always sitting down. Always. Don't get me wrong now. Let me explain. There's certain times you can sit down. But if you have a young child and you're at a trampoline park and there's hundreds of kids running around and you're sitting down and your child is just awkwardly moving by themselves and you're sitting down, that's what I mean by sit down parent. There's certain times you should not be sitting down. You got to get up and watch your children. Watch your children. I actually have a video on my channel speaking about that. About parents just being too loose. Their children are running amok. Just running around like no sense. Just letting their kids just run around. And it's fine when they're a certain age and they have common sense. They have a sense about how to navigate the world. But when your child is young, and I'm talking about maybe 4 years old, 4 or 5 years old, around that range, you should be watching your children. They don't have enough common sense about the world yet. They don't have that situational awareness yet. A lot of time that age does not have those qualities. Kudos to your kids if they do. But a lot of times at that age, they don't have those qualities. Don't be a sit-down parent, guys. It's not cool to be a sit-down parent. And like I said, you can be a sit-down parent at certain times when your child can navigate and they're old enough to make certain decisions and have common sense about what's going on around them. Then it makes more sense to be a sit-down parent. Other than that, you should not be letting your kids just run around carefree. No, you just should not. Again, I stress this to you guys, whoever's watching this. Teach your children about situational awareness at a young age. You're not going to regret it. They need to know about their surroundings. They need to know who is around them at all times. They need to understand you cannot do certain things, and especially when you're in a public area. You go to the bathroom, as a parent, you're going to be in the bathroom with your child. There is no occasion for a young child to go into a public bathroom by themselves. No excuses. Nobody can debate me on that. Because I would ask you what your logic is behind that. In this day and age, in 2025, in the world we live in, you're sending your child in the bathroom by themselves. What is the logic behind that? I don't want to hear I'm standing outside the door. No, that's still not acceptable. You should be seeing what your child is doing, going into that bathroom, making sure those stalls are clear, making sure no one is hiding in those stalls, in this day and age, we have so many things going on. So many things going on. There's plenty of opportunity for people to claim gender assignments for an opportunity at your kids. That was pretty touchy. I can get in trouble for saying that. Saying certain things in this world nowadays get you canceled, get you in trouble with certain things, or get you blocked, something. But I don't like to sugarcoat things. I never did. I don't even like the candy that I eat to be sugar-coated. Give it to me real. What are we afraid of? I'm not afraid of those things. Like, be honest, be real with me. Watch your children, guys. Teach them about the dangers of this world. Because if you don't teach them about the dangers of the world, they're going to one day see the dangers of the world by themselves, and they're going to have a lot of questions for you, which is fine, because we're their parents, we're supposed to answer it. But we should teach them these things before the danger comes. You understand where I'm going? Teach them about the dangers of the world early. Teach them about how to cross the street. Just because it's a one-way street doesn't mean you only look one way and cross the street. I will teach my daughters all about situational awareness. Don't trust anyone. Just because a sign says to walk doesn't mean you don't look behind you to make sure no other car is turning. Doesn't mean you don't look at the driver of the car to make sure they see you before you start crossing. There's just certain things we have to teach. I'm very passionate about that. Very. And you can call me paranoid. You can call me anything you want. But guess what? I'm going to show my children these steps because I understand the world I live in. And I know the world they're going to live in. And it's not a cool world. It's not a cool world. Unfortunately, we don't live in paradise. We don't live in paradise. Because the US, honestly, is spelled with 3 Ks. And that's a whole other topic I can go over. It's not equal for everyone. There's certain individuals that have the privilege. There are certain individuals that have more privilege than other individuals. And that's the sad reality of it. And I will continue to fight for my children's rights. I'll continue to fight for them to know that they are beautiful Black queens, Black princesses transitioning into Black queens. That's what I want my children to understand. And I don't want them to be ignorant about the world. I want them to know the color of their skin is beautiful. I want them to know they are beautiful. Their hair is beautiful. Their eyes are beautiful. Not only physical features are beautiful, but they have a beautiful heart and they have beautiful characteristics about themselves. That's what I'm striving for every single day. Is it a journey? Yes. Are my feet tired? Yes. Is my mind tired? Yes. But I will not give up on showing my girls where they should be and what they should learn. Because that's my job. Nobody's going to do the job like me. So any parent watching this, understand something. When your child or children leave your home, explain something to them. Explain something to them, especially Black parents. This is a serious message, especially Black parents. We unfortunately have to say certain things to our children that a lot of races don't have to say to their children. And that's where privilege comes in. Now, if you don't understand what I'm saying because you're not black, then I guess the message was not for you. But I want you to understand that there's a lot of unjust things going on in the world, and we as people in general should be able to understand everyone's plight. Not everyone is going to understand it. Not everyone is going to care. But we as parents, we have to understand what we have to do and how we can push and benefit our children for their betterment in the future. We have to. We have no other choice but to keep pushing for our children's success. So again, I come to the message of before your children leave your home, make your children understand this. Listen to me. Make your children understand this. No one is going to love them like you love them. And once they step out of your doors, just teach them that there may be people that will treat you differently because of the way you look, because of the way you speak, because of the color of your skin. There's just certain things that they're going to learn on their own growing up. But we can be the precursor and understand that we can teach them certain things before that hopefully happens. Hopefully does not happen. But we can be that precursor and kind of show them the ways of the world. Like I said earlier, I don't believe in sugarcoating for our children because that only plays a role of detriment to them. I don't want to be a part of my children's earthly demise, so to say. I don't. I want to be the dad that benefits my children. So when they have an issue, which will come, they can come to me. They can come speak to dad. I'll be here for you. As long as God has given me the energy and strength to be here on this world, I'm going to be here for you. And I need you to understand that. So thank you guys for joining my live. This was a really good live, guys. It really was. And I look forward to making more videos. And I hope whoever stayed to the end to watch this. First of all, I want to thank you because not enough content creators are supporting each other like this by staying to the end and watching the video. So if you stayed to the end and watched the video, let me know in the comments because I'm definitely willing to reciprocate that same energy. Till next time, guys. Peace.